What is going to happen when maybe 250,000 people are in this shape? I see the woman I love leave. I'm in the ward here, and I look around and see a lot of very sick people and know that I could be like this. And he was diagnosed 1 month before me.
Can you make a fist with this hand, please?
You mostly see his bones, and you have very little fat.
Would you squeeze my hand, please? Can you squeeze my hand? Yeah. Squeeze it for me as hard as you can. Oh, there's nothing there.
He has a neurologic disease related to the virus.
And now there's a nice squeeze. The neurologic disease alters consciousness.
It alters consciousness, it alters memory, creates confusion, makes it very difficult for these patients to live any kind of a normal life once it hits.
So he may be aware of reality and he may not.
In and out, I would say, probably. Sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't.
I had a little agreement with a friend of mine whose brother died of AIDS, and that if I ever, or he ever gets into a situation like this, that we will, if we're in the hospital, either one of us, and we can't, and we're so sick that we're bedridden or something else, that either one of us will come up and give the other one the pills or whatever that's necessary to die.
This is the Spellman Center for the Treatment of People with AIDS. It's attached or a part of St. Clair's Hospital in Manhattan. This is an institution which is owned and operated by the Archdiocese of New York. In fact, it's named after the late Cardinal Spellman of New York. The medical director of this facility is Dr. Deborah Spicehandler, who happens to be pregnant. You didn't need us to tell you that, Doctor, but your pregnancy is certainly visible testimony to what? That we don't have to worry about catching AIDS in the air.
Right. AIDS is not transmitted by casual contact. It never has, and it probably never will be. It's only transmitted by sexual contact or contact with blood products at this point.
How many AIDS patients are currently residing in your facility?
We have about 50 AIDS patients now.
50. You told me that last month you lost 15 patients here at this facility. I don't know how you emotionally deal with that. That's one every other day that you're wheeling out of here to the funeral home. What does this do to your people?
It's very difficult on our staff. The staff has had to deal with death and dying as well as the patients. I think the staff can better deal with it knowing the patients are on a dedicated unit where they've gotten support and help adjusting to what's going to happen. I think, though, our staff has support groups set up for our staff so they can cope with issues of death and dying. That's very difficult on
Does your staff go to the funeral?
Some of our staff, our nursing staff, go to the funerals, and this sort of brings out, completes the whole cycle of life and death with the patient.
You must have everybody here from families that gather around to total loneliness.
Yes, we have some patients who do not have any visitors. Most have some family.
I want you to accompany me now, and we're about to visit Vincent, who's here with his mother.
Right. His mother's with him. Vincent has had AIDS since, about 6 months now, or a little bit less than 6 months. He got AIDS with the diagnosis of pneumocystis pneumonia, which is the commonest form of pneumonia that AIDS patients get. Currently, he's again being treated for the same type of pneumonia.
Let's meet Vincent and his mother. If you'll follow us, please. Hi, Vincent. I'm Phil Donahue.
Hello, Phil.
How nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you're Barbara.
Hello.
Hi, how nice to meet you. You know Dr. Spicehandler.
Yes.
Thank you for letting us invade your privacy here. Vincent, you're 30.
Yes.
30 years old. You've known you've had AIDS now for...
6 months.
How are you doing with this emotionally? Are you scared? Are you mad? Are you denying? What phase are you in?
Well, I'm scared of which opportunistic infection will finally get me. Say if it was like...
In other words, you feel you're going to get something, you wonder which one it is?
Right. Precisely. If it'd be toxoplasmosis, affecting my brain, losing my motor skills.
You've done what?
Cataracts in my eyesight, you know. At the time of my drug use, I was even aware of AIDS, and I didn't care enough about myself and my life to...
Yeah. How do you explain that you didn't care? Where'd this... it sounds like you were really down and out.
Yeah, because things weren't going my way. I felt I didn't have nothing going. No education, no job, no future. I'd been in and out of jail for various petty offenses.
Do you want to live now?
Well, it's a funny thing how when someone tells you that the only thing you've got is going to be snatched away from you shortly, you want it even more dearly, you know?
Than you did when you were not at risk.
Right, than I did when I was in...
Barbara, this has to be a very painful conversation for you to listen in on.
Well, I've gone through it all. Vinny's been home with me since February. Before that, we went through the drug scene. We went through the whole bit with him, trying to get him off the drugs. I can't tell you what kind of life it is for a family to have children on drugs, because you sit up all night waiting for them to come home. You're worried constantly. Then when he came home and he became very ill, he became paranoid. He was upset. He thought people were going to attack him. You're home. You have no friends. Your relatives are afraid to come to visit you. He comes first. He's paranoid. He's afraid somebody's there to hurt him because he feels defenseless. He's not strong. He's not agile anymore.
How many children do you have, Barbara?
I have 5 altogether.
Do you have another daughter who may have AIDS?
Yes. She's suspect.
You occasionally get confused in your thinking. Is that right, Vincent?
Yes.
And when you do, you just have to stop and remember where you were and think very hard and try to concentrate in order to resume your thought process.
Yeah, well, I get emotional, too. Sometimes that stops, like, in relationship to my father. He's got a business now.
Does he come to see you?
Locally. Yeah. Well, he hasn't been yet, but he'll be here.
Do you want him to come and see you?
Sure I do. It was always my dream to, have a father and son business with him, and now he's got the business. And, I may be on my way out.
And for that reason, you'd like, what, a healing kind of relationship with him?
I have that. I never stopped loving my father. I stopped trusting him at times, but I never stopped loving him.
Does your father love you?
Sure he does.
And the reason he hasn't been here yet is what?
He can't take it.
You understand that, don't you? You religious guy?
I was raised Roman Catholic. I live with the sisters at the AIDS hospice in the West Village. And I'm starting to
to rekindle my relationship with God.
I do thank you very much, Barbara, and you'll forgive me for our leave-taking here now. Unfortunately, there are other people here we want to talk with. We do thank you.
Okay.
And I hope you're watching. We'll be able to see you on television when we air this.
Got a date yet?
No, but we will have one for you, and I promise you we'll call you. I won't let this get on the air without letting you know when it's going to be on.
Okay.
Thanks, Vincent. Are you uncomfortable now? Are you real uncomfortable? I'm physically.
I was until I got that Bactrim in me.
What is that?
My lungs were hurt.
What is
It's an
that?
antibiotic to treat the pneumonia that he has.
I see. All right. You rest. You rest. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Bye-bye. Is pneumonia the most common affliction, or is that the first illness that the AIDS victim gets?
It is the most common, and it's usually the first presenting sign of the AIDS. A pneumocystis pneumonia. It's a special kind of pneumonia called an opportunistic pneumonia. It's something that comes from within when your immunity is suppressed.
I'd like you now, if you will, Doctor, to accompany me to meet Martha Sanchez. She's an Hispanic IV user, and she's also had blood transfusions. How old is Martha, do we know?
She's, I think, almost 34, if not 34.
And she has 2 children.
She has 2 children.
All right, and we have her permission to visit her, so kindly follow me. Hi, Martha. I'm Phil Donahue. How are you? Thank you for letting us. Of course, you know Dr. Spice Handler. I guess it's okay if I sit on your bed.
Sure.
You have 2 children, Martha.
Yes, I do.
Who's watching them?
My mother right now.
And you were diagnosed how long ago?
A year and a half ago.
And since that time, have you been up and down an emotional roller coaster, or
Yeah.
where are you now emotionally, Martha? Have you?
I've learned to deal with it. I'm scared. I'm frightened, and I know I'm going to die. My main concern is my children and my mother. And I'm only 34 years old. I want to see my children grow and have kids, and we're very close. And we used to do a lot of things together that we can't do right now.
Martha, you were a heroin user,
Yes,
and you were on a methadone program, were you not?
I am.
It's probable that you've also had blood transfusions,
Yes, twice.
but you've probably got it from the needle, don't you? The bad needle, don't you think?
Yeah.
What do you say to your 12-year-old?
Oh, she knows. They both know. I explained to them what I have.
What did you tell them?
I tell them that I have AIDS, how I caught it, why it's affecting me the way it has, why I get so tired, why my hands are the way they are, why I got these fungus. You know, I get bad pains after I eat, and my heart sometimes beats fast. I get these bad chest pains. I can't get wet. I can't get a little cold. Sometimes I get 103, 104 fever.
How do you figure you got yourself in this kind of spot? Why you?
Intravenously using drugs. Okay? I was really going crazy out there using drugs. All kinds of drugs, you know? And I was stealing every penny I got.
Still got them, yeah.
Every penny I got, I used on drugs.
Have you stopped crying?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes when I'm by myself and I think about my kids, and I think about my little girl and I'm leaving them,
Your youngest is 9.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid that in this world, anything happening to them. Even though they got a good grandmother that watches over them, and a good aunt, and uncles, and their father. But it still hurts. It hurts and it's confusing. And sometimes I say, well, why me? Why me? Then I start thinking about all the things I've done in the past. And I know why me,
Why do you, what do you know, Mark?
I can't say that it's a punishment from God, because it's not. It's a punishment I brought on to myself.
You don't have to be a bad person to get stuck like this.
I know. I've tried. I've tried to make it up to my family the best way I could. And they try to help me as much as they can with my sickness. I mean, they even spoil me. They overdo it sometimes.
Giving you lots of attention.
Yeah, attention, and watch me a lot. And put up with my crankiness, because I'm very, very cranky,
They understand.
Yeah.
Well, and your children know you love them.
Oh, yeah, very much.
And you know they love you.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a lot with that.
Yeah.
Martha, I'm sorry that we have to leave. There's no real graceful way to do this. I think you know that your appearance on our program might just help promote more information and understanding about this very, very serious problem.
That's why I'm doing this.
I know you are.
To help other people.
Right. We thank you very much.
Okay.
We know that you're a very courageous and a very strong woman. And most of all, we know that you're a very, very loving mother. That's just about the nicest thing a person can say about a woman, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, and kiss the kids for it.
I will.
Bye, Martha.
Bye-bye. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you, Martha. Thanks again. How many women you say you can accommodate 50. Generally, how many of those 50 would be female?
It's generally about 3 or 4. Right now we have 6 women.
And some are, the women are usually an IV drug user?
Most are IV drug abusers or have been sexually involved with IV drug abusers.
Or with bisexual?
Or with bisexuals. We haven't had any women involved with bisexuals, but there are women who've contracted AIDS through sexual contact.
Yeah. I don't know how you hold up with this every day like this. I mean, you must be inured to this. I mean, you must wonder... hang on just a second. Are you okay, Martha?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I hope we didn't make this worse for you, honey. Did we?
Oh, no. I just gotta let it out.
You just what?
I just gotta let it out.
You have to let it out. That's true, you do. It seemed to me that you risk becoming automaton yourself. I mean, you've got your own emotion.
It's very hard. I think we're trained in medical school to deal with death and dying, but when we're dealing with young people dying, it makes it harder. These are people my age dying, and it's very difficult.
We are at the Spellman Center for the treatment of people with AIDS, St. Clair's Hospital in Manhattan, and we'll be back in just a moment. Mark, are you ready for us? Sean?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice to see you again. You know Dr. Spicehandler, of course. Hi,
Yes.
How are you? Let me just sit down here. See if we can... Mark, you went home. And did you go home thinking, I'm rallying and I'm going to be fine? Or?
I had never been in the hospital before, so as I left, I assumed that when you get out of the hospital, everything's fine and you're well and you're healthy. And I learned that is not necessarily true, that there's I just went home and slept for 4 days.
Really? What happened? Are you weaker, or do you...
I seemed to, because of having more time to myself and not being checked in on, I seemed to be more tired or a little more frail than I thought that I was. I'm a little impatient with just the recovery aspect of it, and so it gets tedious having to stay home and stay in bed and that sort of thing.
Mark, you say the recovery aspect of it. Now, you're not going to be upset with me if I make this point solely for the purpose of soliciting information. There is no recovery to this.
That's what I'm dealing with at this point. More so now that I've been home and realizing that I may never grow to be an old man, and there are certain things that I'm trying to restructure in my way of thinking so that, you know, I can enjoy every day or you know, new dreams, new hopes. But it is true that, you know, there is not a recovery.
Have you accepted this? Did you have anger? How about depression? Where are you emotionally?
Right now, I think I'm dealing with it more than in the hospital. I was very fortunate while staying here at St. Clair's to have... I won the most decorated prized room, and I had the nurses were wonderful, and it sort of kept my mind occupied. Now that I've been home and Sean being there, I seem to be the realities of even saying the word AIDS and being one of the winners, so to speak, is becoming much more real to me.
When you say winners?
Oh, it's like, you know, the select group, you know.
You
it's
mean
not,
it in a very, that's black humor.
Yes, the winner, loser.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to restructure my way of thinking so that, you know, I can walk down the street and not feel like a leper and think people are pointing at me and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Sean, you were once a pair.
Yeah.
Now you're friends.
Mm-hmm.
Did you blow the whistle on his illness?
We both go to the same doctor, and the Monday before he went in, I looked down at him, and his bones were showing through, and I knew that he was really sick. So I went to work that day and called up the doctor, and he said St. Clair's. I called up St. Clair's. They were like, real great, get him into ER. So we sort of hijacked him a little, and...
I thought I was going to the movies. I had been sick for a while through the summer, and he was like, oh, let's go jump in a cab, and blah, 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 mumbled something. So I thought I was off to the movies, and I ended up in room 301.
You're laughing now. Both of you really...
Try to keep humor up, not make light of it, but just enjoy life, you know, like, be real, be accepting, but don't walk around crying and terribly depressed. Give that the amount of energy it deserves, but try to stay happy and...
You must be very grateful for this loyalty here.
You better be.
I probably wouldn't be here today. Sean and I, as we said before, had a relation many years ago during the torrid period, and lots of fights, and we've been into business and out of business and lived together and not lived together, and it's taken 8 or 9 years for us to really resolve to the fact that, you know, there is love and that there is caring, and if he hadn't lied to me and told me I was going to the movie, I'd probably still be, you know, wrestling with pneumonia and all the other things. I feel very fortunate to have someone that dear.
Yeah. What is the moral of this story? Do you care to attempt to share what you think it might be with us?
Just using your brains. To the community, it was a big kick, but...
In the head, you mean?
Yeah, but you really don't have to stop living as a person or stop being gay. You just have to use your brains and be safe about what you're doing. You can still have relationships, you can still care, you can still have sex. It's just, you gotta use your brain. You can't be as carefree and, you know...
Yeah.
I think that it all sort of came out of, it was a very vice-oriented. I think it was during a period of sort of drug, sex, and rock and roll, and that decadence where everyone was experimenting.
Do you hold out any hope?
Most of my hope is, I don't know, is I think, just hope for some time, and I hope that I can get healthier to do some of the things and go some places. I don't honestly believe that there's going to be a miracle drug, although I'm up for AZT and I'm praying that it does do whatever it's supposed to do. And I think the hope that should be developed, and if I could ever, help anybody along, is the ability to develop new dreams, and that life does change, and that if it doesn't go exactly the way you intend, that there are other ideas and other routes to take and places to go and people to see. So I ain't down yet.
The Spellman Center in Manhattan is just one of several hospital facilities, not only in this city but around the country, which have set up their own wards and areas to accommodate AIDS patients. This is the hotline where people with questions about AIDS, when you call the AIDS hotline, this is where it rings. Hardworking people in there trying to give information about America's latest and most serious health crisis. Also accommodated at this facility are prisoners. That is to say, people who are incarcerated in the state of New York. How you doing? And who suddenly discover that they have AIDS. Which way do we go here? Down this way. Thank you. Oh, I didn't see you standing there. We're going to meet Nelson now. Tell me about Nelson.
Nelson has a disease called cryptococcal meningitis. It's a type of meningitis that's seen in AIDS patients. This is the second time he's been here, and tomorrow is his birthday, and we're having a little birthday party for him. We do that quite a bit for him.
Hi. Pardon me. Is Nelson here? Hi, Nelson. I'm Phil Donahue. How are you? I'm sorry to interrupt the birthday party. Please be seated. I didn't realize you'd be right in the middle of... How old are you?
38 now.
38. Nelson, may I ask you... I'm sorry to interrupt here, friends. I hope we're not... May I ask you to put that down? This is really not fair, and because we don't have that much light here. Would you mind accompanying me back to your room? Sure. Okay, why don't we do that? Doctor, you'll come with me here. Which way are we going, Nelson? This way?
This way, yeah.
This is your second visit to the hospital, Doctor.
Yes, it is.
And how long have you been here in this disco?
Now I've been here about 8 weeks.
Yeah. How do you feel now?
Well, since I came in again, I feel a little stronger, but I'm still weak. I still don't feel too well.
Right. How long ago were you diagnosed?
Beginning of March of this year.
I see. Where's your room?
It's down here.
That's the easiest question I'm going to ask you all week. What did you do for a living, Nelson?
I do accounts receivable, accounts payable, clerical work.
Nelson, I'm going to turn this off for
Press the first button.
There you go. Nelson, you're in the room with a very sick patient.
Yes, I am.
What is your roommate's name?
Excuse me?
What's your roommate's name?
His name is Jim.
Have you ever been able to talk to Jim?
I talked to him, but he doesn't answer me back. And a lot of times, it's like if he doesn't listen, like he's not there. And that scares me sometimes. Like I said, I feel like if I pray to God that I don't get that way.
This is Hugh, about whom you spoke a moment ago. Hi, Hugh. We're going to see you in 1 second, pal.
Put on masks because he has tuberculosis, which is a contagious disease, and we would have to do this if he weren't a patient.
So this is nothing about AIDS?
No. So this can be spread just by respiratory contact.
Is the tuberculosis what he got when his immune system shut down?
Right, he also had pneumocystis pneumonia, but tuberculosis is another disease that hits you when you get immune suppressed.
How you doing, Hugh? Thanks for being patient with us, buddy. How you feeling? You all right? You're not going to get upset with me if I tell you you've been heavier than this.
Yes.
How much you lose?
15 pounds. Last 2 weeks.
Yeah. How'd this happen, Hugh? Are you gay or are you a drug user, or what do you know about what happened?
I'm a drug user, and I've had gay experience.
So if you're doing both, your risk, you know that now, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. What, I want to say, what have you learned? You know, if you could go back and do it over again, Hugh, you must have thought about this. Tell me about what you think about when you...
Counseling. Maybe doing it the hard way sometimes, instead of trying to find an easy way all the time.
Life, you mean?
Yeah, life is rough, and you gotta do it hard sometimes, you know. And I always try to do it easy, and this is the price I'm paying.
How do you see your future, Hugh?
That's very hard. I'm trying to process it right now. I was thinking of selling lottery tickets for the afterlife.
You're a religious man?
Yes, very much.
You talk to God every day, do you?
Oh yeah, I pray.
You must feel closer to him now, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Are you at peace, Hugh?
Sometimes. I'm getting more at peace as the days grow longer. I'm beginning to let go a lot of my attachments.
Like?
Woman, wine, song, ambition, accepting my condition.
When you say woman, wine, and song, now, that means you're a bisexual drug user.
You could say that.
You have been on the fast track, my good man.
Oh, very fast. Very fast.
Was there a heyday in your life? Was it... I'm sorry if I sound like a voyeur, but obviously it was this fast track that got you in this spot.
Yeah.
And it's the fast track we don't want our kids to get on.
Right.
When was this, Hugh, and what was a nice guy like you doing on it?
I got trapped off in drugs in Da Nang.
In Nam?
Yeah. And when I went to R&R, I got introduced to the black market. A lot of fast money.
And where did you spend R&R?
Bangkok, Taipei. I learned how to buy the forms to take extra charter flights without the government knowing about it.
So you were able to travel to make your buys, even at the government expense, and you were able to finesse the paper for it.
Yes.
I see. So you were using and dealing.
Yes.
There's a lot of money in that.
Oh, yeah. An awful lot.
You are one, Hugh, of an untold number of Nam veterans. You are this war's legacy. This is awful.
Yeah, it is awful. I feel sorry for our guys. I wish it didn't happen, you know. But somebody's got to pay the price, you know. Maybe the next generation, or, you know, our children would have learned. I pray that they don't have to go through the madness that I had to go through.
Yeah. Do you have visitors here?
Yes, I do.
Who visits you?
My sister, my ex.
Your ex-wife visits you?
Yes.
Does she hold your hand? Is there still a...
Yeah.
That must be very comforting.
Very. I look forward to it. Very much. I wait for it. She's coming today, I hope. I'm sitting here waiting for her to also.
She makes you feel...
alive. And it's, you know, that I belong, that I'm not an alien.
that despite AIDS or leprosy, you know, I'm still okay.
Kid?
No, too fast. I live too fast for kids. I really realized it's something, I don't know. It wasn't, I didn't say AIDS, but when I came home, I realized something about me wasn't right. And I didn't want to make kids and have them inherit that legacy that I had.
How about your folks?
Where are they? My folks are. My mother is in Florida. And my primary family are separated.
Do you see them at all?
Yeah, my sisters come over here often. They bring the kids.
How about your mother?
My mother is trying to get back up here from Florida right now. She's having a difficult time with that.
Is there a part of you that says, don't come, Ma, it's too painful?
No. I think she should see. I think she should feel. I think we're all a part of it. I don't think this is only my pain. I think everybody that didn't say something about Vietnam, that didn't do something about drugs, that didn't respond to some person that needed attention should see this, and they should carry it with them, not as a punishment, but I don't want to carry it by myself, not like that.
This is something that the community has to accept responsibility for.
Yes, this is a community disease. And I'm just like I don't know the word for it. I'm taking it on. You know, I took Vietnam on, now I'm taking on AIDS.
Is the depression over for you?
No. I sense that within a couple of months I'm going to get very depressed. And then I'm going to let it go. I'm trying to say, I've always said let it go. You know, from Vietnam, when I went out on patrols, I learned how to let it go.
Because you might get a bullet in the head.
Exactly. It isn't the same thing here, because it's an everyday, slow process, you know. I just can't say, well, maybe I catch it, maybe I won't. It doesn't work like that, you know. So it takes more courage. It does.
You're smiling.
Yeah.
Because?
Well, I think it would help me more than getting down and start crying. And
doesn't do any good, does it?
It doesn't do any good.
Were you a grunt in Vietnam?
Yeah.
You were the guy in the front, huh?
Yeah. I was a dog handler.
What does that mean?
Canine. I took a dog.
For mine detection?
Not mine detection. Leading patrols, things like that. Looking for booby traps, snipers.
So when you went on R&R, you said to yourself, boy, if anybody's entitled to a buzz, it's me. I just risk...
That's right. Tie one on. There's no limit now. They shouldn't have let me out now. That's the way I felt, you know.
They shouldn't have what?
Let me out of the jungle, of the garbage.
They should have let you out of it.
They shouldn't have.
Why
That's
not?
the way I felt, because to me it was intense, you know. To me it was 30 days in the bush, 3 days in the rear, 30 days, 3 days in the rear, constantly. And going to a place where I didn't have any action, or didn't have to worry about being mortared or zapped, I just went hog wild, you know. And I didn't want to come back. Matter of fact, they had to take me back.
You say that they should have never have left you out of Nam. I think what you're saying, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, I think you should have died there.
I should have.
And that some freaky reason you got out.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have?
I shouldn't.
And when you got out, you, in a way, you didn't get killed in Nam, but what you were doing to yourself was killing you.
Yeah, exactly.
What is it like? Did you feel that you were brutalized there, or were you a real nice altar boy, church choir guy who became somebody else in Nam?
I became a killer, and I couldn't deal with it.
You actually killed Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people.
And then you'd go to Bangkok, shoot up, and try and forget about it.
Yeah. That's what it amounted to. Now that you're putting words to it.
Uh-huh. How much time do you think you had?
Left? Maybe 5 years. 'Cause I'm gonna do yoga and sun exercise, eat a good diet.
You appear to be very weak, are you?
Probably emotionally than anything else. I've been laying down, so if I start sitting up and walking around, I think my strength will. I start recuperating faster than I have been.
When you leave the hospital, where do you go?
That's another problem that I have to work out.
You're not sure.
No, not at this moment.
You must feel very isolated.
At times,
But you know there are people who love you.
yeah, I do.
That must keep you going.
That keeps me going. It's hard to accept love when you lose it. Yeah, I can't explain that. It's sometimes someone could be standing right there saying "I love you,"
And you don't believe it?
and you can't feel them. You can't touch them. It's meaningless. And what do you mean you love me? Look, my hands are dripping blood, etc. Something like that. And that's the kind of person I've been.
You didn't like yourself.
Yeah,
And so if you don't like you, how could someone else like you, much less
Exactly.
love you?
that's right.
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
How are you now?
With the psychological
Yeah.
thing. I've turned it into art. I draw. I look at sunset, and that's a part of saying, forget about wine, woman, or song. I draw. I use my imagination, and that's my new field. I just hope I ride out on a sunset like in one of those westerns, And
Think you will?
yeah, I think I'm doing the right things now.
Your smile tells me you really do have a good deal of inner peace now. I don't know that that's true. I'm saying that's the guess.
Well, lady's gonna come and bring me some food. This hospital food is, I don't like it too much.
You're looking forward to the home cooking, are you?
Yeah.
Hugh, I thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Okay,
You're a pal.
all right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
He said he thinks he has, he said he thinks he has 5 years.
He doesn't have that. He has already been diagnosed, and you could see by how thin and weak he is that he probably doesn't have that long.
I assume that all patients, it's part of human nature to give yourself more.
We can't lose hope. I mean, we try to encourage hope. We try to make our patients see the reality, but we can't help but encourage hope. It helps them get better and get out of the hospital for the short time that they have.
We're at the Spellman Center for the Treatment of Patients with AIDS, and we'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, it was pacifier, right? And, but with all the toys you got at home, you didn't need those little toys. But it reminds me so much of you. So lovey-dovey. Right? Have a good idea. Christina has one with a pacifier, a dolly. Open your eyes, huh? And then you got take care of her, right? How you doing in school?
All right.
Sure you passing your test?
I got a 90 on my test.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following: